Hey there, welcome. My name is Renessa Guerrero. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to have you here to be able to share with you a great way for you to be able to get into real estate and how to turn those no's into yeses. So, welcome. My name is Renessa. Like I said, I'm a mortgage loan officer and real estate broker with Fairway Mortgage. And I'm excited to share with you some of my insights that I've had to thankfully learn over the last 8+ years for myself. I went from renting to now owning real estate, having cash flow properties, and being able to actually leverage real estate for investments and having money every month coming into my bank account from my properties. So I want to be able to share this with you because I had to start all over from a divorce many years ago and having to rebuild my credit, having to start from ground zero, not exactly sure how to begin, didn't really have any mentors. Everything I was being told at that time was doing, these credit fixing, delete this credit thing, do this, do that, and really was unsure where to start. And so after I was able to get my score from a 515 to a 720, I learned some ins and outs, and I'm excited to be able to share those with you today. And most of all is being able to educate you. There is not one plan that fits all because everybody has different stories. Everybody has a different financial background. Everybody has something that maybe was, they have a different collection, they have an older history line. There's just so much that when it comes to understanding credit and understanding your background, there is not one size that fits all. So I want to just be able to share that with you because if you get involved with repairing your credit, what I'm going to share with you might not necessarily apply to you. And what I'm going to be sharing with you could actually potentially change your situation. The best thing for you to do is to connect with me and my team, and we'll go through an actual layout for you. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share this slide deck with you. It goes through a lot of information. So if I were you, I would get a pen and paper, really highlight some key notes that are going to be for you because this is going to be all about that we help a lot of people because our answers work, our solutions work. What we say actually can take it to the bank. And we've handed a lot of keys to a lot of families. And we're excited that hopefully you'll be one of our next families that we get to work with. So, how do we do it? We offer credit repair, down payment assistance programs, first time home buying programs, buying, selling, investing, refinancing, and HELOCs. So, one of the biggest advantages of using Guerrero team is I am a licensed loan officer and I'm a licensed real estate agent. So I understand both sides of the market. I know what it takes to not only get you qualified for a mortgage, but I also know what it takes to be able to get you to negotiate your real estate contract, which is the biggest part because negotiating your real estate contract helps you get credits, helps you negotiate repairs on your home, helps you be able to save money on your closing costs. There's a lot that happens on the real estate side to be able to then operate in my loan mortgage hat to be able to have you get the best interest rates and be able to use those seller credits to even be able to buy down your and create a monthly affordable monthly home payment. So those are big parts that I've been able to go, hey, I'm in real estate. I first got my real estate license and I was like, all right, I'm doing real estate. I'm negotiating all these awesome real estate deals, but I'm also on the mortgage side trying to negotiate on the mortgage side. And I said, I need to get my mortgage license. So I really understand why and how my clients can benefit on the mortgage lending side, especially when clients are being declined and they are being told, no, you don't qualify yet. I wanted to know, like, how long is it going to take for them to get qualified? Is it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 24 months? I really wanted to understand exactly the time and what needed to be done for them to get qualified. So, in 6 months, do they need to do anything? How do they repair their credit? How do they save for a down payment? Are there different options if they don't have a down payment? So, I just got really curious and I was talking to so many different loan officers with so many different options that I was like, you know what? I just want to learn this so I'm getting the right information for my clients. And so that's when I got my mortgage license. So, I'm able to actually help and support on both ends with the mortgage and the real estate. And it comes in hand because you're not having to talk to 10 different people, 5 different people. You're talking to one person, you're talking to one team that handles everything for you to make it super seamless with our company. So let's go back to our slideshow and be able to share with you some of the other options that we have in being able to go into where do you start? Like, where do I begin? If I'm just starting out, I've been renting, and now I'm like, how do I go from renting to owning? And what are the beginning stages for that? So let me go ahead and share this with you here so you can see what this 580 is going to be your minimum credit score that all mortgage companies are going to be qualifying for. That's with the minimum payment of 3.5% down payment. So if you have a 550, there are credit options, there are home options for you, but you need 10% down. So if a house is 500,000, you need $50,000 down. So what does that mean? That means that where can I be? Where's my sweet spot where my credit is good, 580 and above, and I have a less down payment because I want to keep my money. I want to furnish my house. I want to be able to do things with my new home. I don't want to necessarily spend all my money on my down payment. So the sweet spot is actually going to start you off at 580, where you do just need 3.5% down payment plus your closing costs. And we'll go a little bit more into that as we go on through here and how to get your closing costs covered by a seller, which is huge. That's over the market that we're in right now. Savings minimum is 2,000. I mean, most of my clients, that's if we're doing a down payment assistance program. Most of my clients I work with have anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000, but that's everybody's different. Some people say, "Hey, I don't have $20,000 or $30,000. Are there options for me to be able to still buy a house if I don't have 20, 30, 40, 50,000?" Yes. And that's where these down programs are going to come into play, where we have down payment assistance programs. If you're a veteran, VA options where you only have zero down. USDA is also a zero down program if you're open to and you're comfortable with moving to the suburbs a little bit. There's also going to be conventional where you only have to put 3%. There's even some programs that offer 1 or 2% down. So if a house is $500,000, you only have to put $5,000 down. So there's lots of options. The whole idea is that you're getting some clarity by connecting with me and my team with what those options are, even if those options are a year from now. I have clients that I'm working with right now that I was working with back in 2023. And here it is in 2024. You might be watching this in 2025, but they had a year plan. They had to pay off some debts. Their lease didn't end for another 6 or 8 months. So they weren't in a rush, which is okay. But guess what they did? They got the information. They found out, how can I be ahead versus waiting until I am 30 days for my lease ending. And now I'm trying to figure out which programs I qualify for, where's my credit scores at, how much do I need in my savings. I actually believe that you should have at least 10 months to be house planning, because there's so much that can happen in 10 months. If you're saving $300 a month for 10 months, you save $3,000, and that can start you in your home buying process. So even if you have zero money right now, have I helped clients with zero money? Yes, I have. We've been able to even work with their earnest money deposit. I don't advise it because it's limited options, but there are options. So I definitely would suggest starting with getting the proper information so that way you can be ahead and it's not a struggle. Like, the last thing we want, and the last thing I want for you, is your home buying process to be a struggle. So this is where you're going to want to have leverage time to be your best friend in this situation. So today's market opportunity, seller concessions, a rare, precious gift. Let me just share this slide. Let me make it big for you. If it doesn't appraise, is that they were selling the house for 420,000, but when the appraiser came in, the appraiser said the house is only worth 390,000. So the $30,000 difference on their appraisal. So what happens with that? Who pays the difference when there's a $30,000 appraisal difference? Well, this particular company put that on to them. And this client said, "Hey, Renessa, I don't got $30,000 plus my down payment to be able to buy this house." So I said, "Okay, no problem. Let's see what we can do." And we were actually able to get them approved for one of our first time homebuyer programs. And in return of them getting approved for that first time homebuyer program, they were able to get their close to $18,000 on their down payment. Plus, they were able to get their closing cost cover, which was about $25,000, because they also were able to do some interest rate buydowns. And we had I think a total of like 40,000 plus dollars, like $45,000 that we were able to get from our first time homebuyer program and from our seller credit. Now, this was huge. There was also some repairs that were needed to be done with the house that we were able to get included on when we bought the house, because the house had a lot of equity value. It was in a really nice neighborhood in Mesa, and we were able to leverage that. And the house actually appraised for more than what they bought it for. So they had instant equity, and they were able to get into this house for less than $2,000. And this is a picture with them, their children, and their grandchildren. So I love being able to see that we're making a generational impact with families. But this is just giving you an idea of what this looks like. And I'm going to go into these words because I talk real estate all day long. People are like, what are seller concessions? What are interest rate buy downs? And what are repairs? Like, what does this mean? And being able to share that with you and go into what that process is going to look like for you. So let's go to the next slide here. A big pro tip is choose an agent who listens, understands the pulse of the market, communicates well, and negotiates for your best interests. Having the right partner in your corner makes all the difference. Here's another family, Ulysses and Leslie. That's my son Abraham, our son Abraham, from his jujitsu class. And we were able to help them, first time home buyers, get into a house, buy down their interest rate, pay their closing costs. It was a win-win for everybody. So this is just another testament of helping our young generation step into home ownership, which is like my heart and joy. Let's go into this next one. The cost of waiting. The future is coming. Will you be ready? When interest rates dip, the market awakens with ferocity and competition surges. Low interest rates equals higher demand. Rising equals rising home prices. Lack of seller concessions in a seller's market could lead to higher home prices. A 450,000 home today might cost $475,000 tomorrow with no concessions. Are you ready? So let me just share this with you. This is a lot of words, but I want to be able to give you a real life example because that's how I learn in this process. I learn by being able to be able to see the numbers. I like seeing the numbers. So let me go to this other slide that's actually going to go through what those numbers look like for you, because understanding what your home cost is going to be is the biggest thing. And I do this for all my clients for them to be able to see this. So let's go here. So as we're looking at this is a document that I send out, and this is what it looks like when you're buying a house. Okay. So as you're scrolling into this, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Renessa Home Lending, that is my mortgage business. And Guerrero Team is our real estate business. So let's just say you're looking at a house that's 450,000 right now. Well, as we know right now, the numbers of homes that are for sale, that are on the market, it's a pretty steady stream. There's actually a lot of homes that have been sitting for a lot of days on the market, which means there's some motivated sellers ready to give us money to sell their house. So that once interest rates drop and they get lower, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a ton of people that are going to hit the market wanting to buy, and we're going to get competition. Back in 2021, after COVID and the interest rates went really down, guess what happened? Tons of people started wanting to get out there and buying houses, and it just turned into a mayhem. And people were paying $50, $80, $100,000 over list price to purchase their home. So how can we how can we change that from happening now? So right now, this is a buyer's market. This means there's not really much competition. There is some in certain areas of the valley or certain hot neighborhoods, but I would say overall, about 70 to 80% of the market is free open game. So let's see here. So let's just go through this here. If you're buying in today's market, so this is today's market. Let's put this here. Let's just add today's market. Okay. This is going to be the future market if and when interest rates go down, let's just say. Earnest money is $2,000. You have to pay an inspection. Inspection usually is about, let's just say $600, which is usually between $500 and $600. And your appraisal is about $500 to $600 as well. So I always put 600. So we're just going to put 1,200 here. This is about the average here. So everybody's got to pay these two, 1,200. An earnest money deposit. In down payment, we're just using FHA, which is 3.5%. In some cases, it could be 0 if you're doing our down payment assistance programs. And if it is a conventional, it's actually 3%. So it'll be a little bit less, but I went with the number that's a little bit more advantageous in where we're at right now in the market. So this is your down payment is 13. It's actually 15, but we got to remember that we count this $2,000 earnest money deposit here. Okay. So it's $15,750. FHA is if we buy the house in the future, when prices go up, because we're going to have more people interested in the house, I put it a 5% increase. I was looking, we were doing anywhere between 10 to 15% increases when we were in 2021 on competing bids. But I just did a 5% increase of 22,500. So 5% of 45,000 is 22,500. We made the house 472. That's an average. Okay. Now, if you go down here and your down payment went up a little bit more because now you're financing this 472. You're not financing 450. So your down payment went up from 15,700 to 16,500, about $2,000 or so, about 1,500. Now, right now we have an interest rate buy down. People go, what is interest rate buy down? This is the big thing right here. So if your interest rate, let's just give it a thing right now. Let's just say your interest rate's 7% and you want to buy it down to 6%, right? So if you want to buy it down, they'll charge you money. Basically, the banks are saying, hey, you can buy 6%, but it's going to cost you $3,500. It could be anywhere between 3,500. I've seen it be 2,000. Let's just give it even to 5,000, right? So you can buy these interest rates. They're for sale. The lower interest rates are for sale. They're not just, oh, you see the market's at 7%. No, you can buy. That's why they call it interest rate buy down. You can buy these lower interest rates. Okay. I've even just recently closed on a client that we were able to buy him down to 5.99. So I put as buying the interest rates, and they can range, like I said, anywhere between 1,500 to 5,000. I put us at 3,500 just to be in the median of that. But even if it's a little bit more, that's okay, because we're going to go into seller credits here in just a minute. Closing costs. Closing costs is what we cover as your title and escrow fees. Title and escrow fees cover making sure there's a good title, there's no liens on the house from the previous owner that's going to come back and bite you. There's not anything that's going on the property that you have your property taxes that you have to prepay in advance. Sometimes you're getting a credit if there's, depending on the time of the year. There's homeowners insurance that you got to prepay in advance. These are things that you have to pay in advance. So you can't pay them after you close. They want this money up front. So this is the upfront fees. So these are going to be homeowners insurance, property taxes. There's prepaid HOA fees, transfer fees, things like that. There's also, if you have a home warranty, that's on here. There's also loan origination. So in some cases, in some loan companies, they charge a loan origination fees. There's processing fees. These are all going to be listed on what they call your loan estimate. So you're going to get an idea of how much everything is going to be. This is the lending side. This is what like lender fees are. We could just put that lender fees. And then you have real estate fees. Okay. So we'll just put those there. All this comes to, I've seen anywhere between 8,000, depending on the points that they may charge for things. Then it could be, and I've even seen them up to 15,000, let's just say. Because in some cases, on like down payment assistance programs, their loan origination fee is a lot higher. So remember, and I always say this to all of my clients, free money isn't free money, right? So you're like, oh, I'm getting this down payment assistance program. Yes, that's great. But what are the pros and what are the cons? One of the cons of the down payment assistance program is that they charge more for their fees to be able to access that. They charge a fee for that. So let's go back here to being able to see exactly where we are. So now we've got fees. So at 8 to 15,000. Okay. So we got a seller credit. Seller credit means we go to the seller. I'm negotiating the price on the house. And I tell the seller, hey, listen, we really like your house. My buyer really wants to be able to move into this house, but they need 3% or 4% of the list price to cover all of their expenses. And right now, we're in a market where sellers are saying, okay, 3 and 4%. Let's talk numbers. If a house is 450,000, 450,000 times 3% is 13,500. Okay. Let's say we're doing 4%, 450,000 times 4%. That's $18,000. So let's go with a credit of 18,000 because that's really normal in what we're in this market right now. Now this can happen. I've had $25,000 in seller credits. So I know this is possible. Let's just say it's between 13 and 18. Let's say it's 18,000. So if we add up these numbers here, right? We add up the $2,000 earnest money deposit. We add up the $1,200 in the inspection and the appraisal. We add up the 13,750 for the down payment. We add our interest rate buy down. We add our $8,000 for that. We come out to a total of 28,450. Okay. That's our total right now. Let me just put this in here. I need to probably add another line. Let's see, insert a row above. So let's go with our total. Our total right now is 28,450. Well, we're going to get 18,000 from the seller. Actually, I had on the 13,000, but let's say we get 18,000 because I actually had 13,500. I remember that. So 13,500. We're just getting 3%. So we minus 13,500 from there. All we have to put down is 14,900. 14,950. So guess what? If we have a down payment assistance program, you only have to pay $2,200. That's it. That's it. So you only have to pay $2,200 if you're down, because that $2,200 is the earnest money deposit and your inspection. In some cases, I've even been able to get this earnest money deposit back. But again, it costs to pay to play. Your payments are a little bit higher, but you only have to pay $2,000 or $2,200 to buy your house. Actually, it's 32 because we need to add this 1,200 plus the 2,000. Okay. So this is what we're looking at here in this process of buying a house. You maybe $15,000 in that process. You could do a 401k. You can get gift money from family and friends. You can do savings. You can be able to do retirement funds. There's lots of ways that this 14,000 can add up. However, your closing cost is the biggest incentive right now that can be covered. This is the number that is huge. So we're getting right now anywhere between 13,000 to 25,000 per house in closing costs in seller credits. I'm going to the seller and the seller is giving us this money. So technically the seller is selling the house for 450,000, but then he's minusing the 13,500 in seller credits because he knows, hey, my net, I'm not going to be able to get that because I'm giving that away. So even though I'm selling the house for 450,000, I'm really netting 436, right? That doesn't include paying their own closing costs and paying their commissions and broker fees and all that other stuff. But this is just talking about this because we're on the buyer side, not the seller side. If we're on the seller side, these numbers look completely different. So this is what we're looking at here. Okay. If you were to buy today in this market right now, if we were to wait for the future, say, gosh, I'm waiting for the market to change. Okay. Well, we know there's going to be a demand because there's hundreds of thousands of people right now waiting for the market to change. You're not the only one waiting for the market to change. So knowing that you're not the only one waiting for the market to change, then that's where the competition is going to come into a big play. So let's look here. So you're going to pay a little bit more for the house, but hey, we're financing it, right? Okay, we're financing the other 22,000. We know we got to have the earnest money. We know we got to pay for our inspection. The earnest money is something you put down to say, I'm serious about buying your house. It's a deposit. It's kind of like, you make reservations at restaurants. They say, we need a credit card. If you cancel, you don't get this back. But thankfully, in real estate, you have a 10-day cancellation where if you go under contract within 10 days, for any reason that's suitable, you can be able to cancel the contract and still get back your $2,000. So that's a pretty big plus. So you get your $2,000, your earnest money, you do your inspection, your appraisal, you put your down payment. Now your down payment's a little bit more because you're financing a little bit more, but hey, $800, all right. You don't have to pay this interest rate buy down because you waited. You've got that in there. Now you got the same thing with closing costs, especially if you're even doing the down payment assistance program, you're still going to have the closing costs in here. But that's just normal here in this closing cost, but it's not covered by anybody. So you don't get anything covered there. So your total is going to be 48,000. If you add up having to pay your closing costs, having to pay your down payment, having to pay this and your $22,000 that you're having to pay extra for the house, you're at 48,000. Even if you minus this $48,000, say, hey, Renessa, just take out that 22.5. I'm financing it anyway. I don't need you to put that in there. It's just going to add an extra $200 to my payment. No big deal. An extra $150, whatever the case is. Well, guess what? It's still a $32,774 difference, meaning $400 more a month would take you almost 7 years of monthly payments to break even. So you think you're saving money right now by waiting for interest rates to go down. In reality, and I can tell you this, person to person, as if you were like my soul sister, brother. I hope you become one. I hope I get to meet you in person one day. There are investors and big money people taking advantage of this market because they are seeing this leverage. They're taking advantage of these homeowners that cannot afford or need to sell their house. We are not taking advantage of anybody. We're making it a win-win where the homeowner doesn't have to keep reducing the price of their home and the seller is able to buy a house to live, or the buyer is able to buy a house and live in that home with their family. So this is where things are. There's a reason why the market is at a standstill. And the reason why the market is at a standstill is that for other people, for other investors and big hedge funds, they can afford, they see this and they're like, we're just going to pick up houses, and they're buying houses left and right. It's actually one of the biggest purchases out there right now are hedge funds and investors over homeowners, over buyers, over renters. So if you were to wait and have to pay this extra difference, it would take you 7 years to break even from paying that. So these, this doesn't include, I'm not giving you your monthly interest rate payments, but I'm just letting you know that this is what this looks like. Seller credits are the name is the sweet spot right now for buyers. How are you going to take advantage of seller credits when they're covering all of your closing costs? They're covering all your interest rate buy down. All of this is getting covered when you buy a house right now. This is the time. I don't know when I record this video, it might in 10 months, 6 months, it might be a completely different market, but this is the market right now. So let me just go in and show you now what we are looking at in regards to this next slide, because this is going to be where it's important for you to see, how do I take advantage of this in this market? How do I know what the right deals are? How do I know if I'm buying in the right neighborhood? Because there's such a level of confusion that I feel like it's kind of my job to help being able to get us out of that confusion. So let's look at the slideshow. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, share. Go back. All right, so let's see here. So we just did this slide, and now we're going to go, let's hit add to scene. Sorry, I'm doing this. Here we go. All right. So I'll save money by waiting for rates to drop. Reality, these are some myths that people are saying, and it's kind of holding people back into being able to be the buyer. Sometimes it's not other people telling you no, you don't qualify. It's yourself telling yourself no. You're limiting your own self from being able to take advantage in this market right now. And this is where it needs to change. People need, it would be my ideal situation to educate everyone in this market to see who's taking advantage of the market and who is not. The people who are taking advantage in this market are not allowing their internal no to captivate and hold them paralyzed. They are people who are getting the questions, they're becoming curious, they're getting the answers to their questions, they're learning, they're engaged with a proper loan officer and real estate agent like myself. They're having somebody else do all the homework for them, understanding what neighborhoods are hot, what neighborhoods are not, what neighborhoods are appreciating, what neighborhoods are depreciating. They understand that there's somebody out there that's doing all the hard work for them, and they just need to just tap in and just get connected. That's my job. That's what I do all day, every day with my team. We have lots of different programs and products that I can plug in a zip code and tell you if it's appreciating in that neighborhood or depreciating. I can tell you if home prices are going up or going down. I can tell you if it's a big rental market versus a big home ownership market. There's a lot of different things to understand where you are purchasing a home at and being able to really make sure that you are protecting your investment, especially when we're looking at spending $250,000 to $500,000. This is your big investment. So these myths hold you back and end up paralyzing you, where you end up staying renting and you're wasting your money renting if you could own right now. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars within 3 or 4 years. My property that I bought in 2021, it's 2024, well over 200,000 in appreciation. That's huge. I would have been renting for 2 years. I would not have gained $200,000 in appreciation, even if I only gained $100,000 in appreciation. Renting for 2 years, giving a landlord my money versus me being able to personally leverage my own money to become a homeowner. That's what it's all about. This is that time where you leverage your money to be able to grow it and invest it in the future. So, another big myth, there's no urgency right now. Savvy buyers are seizing the opportunity before the crowds arise. It's not just savvy buyers, it's investors. There are people taking advantage of this market that are the reason why the market's not moving. So I'm just letting you know there's a whole other economy beneath the economy. And either you're taking advantage of it or it's taking advantage of you. There's no in between. Prices increases and lack of concessions could outweigh lower interest rates. There's money on the table right now, and you're potentially losing out on that money if you don't take advantage of this market that we're in right now. Pro tip, in today's fast-paced real estate market, timing is everything. Homes are selling faster than ever, and waiting too long to make a decision can mean missing out on your dream home or losing leverage in a deal. Absolutely. If you sit on the sidelines, you're going to have to settle when, hey, interest rates are great right now. What can I get into? And then you're stuck with homes you don't even like because all the other homes are being leveraged by other people that could either pay cash, by other people that can outbid other people. They have more money on the table they can put on. So you're going to be in a position where everybody else that's sitting on the sidelines, you're now competing with versus right now being the winner at the table. That's what we want to be, the winner at the table, and share that wealth with your family. Why you save more buying now, example scenario. So that's this scenario that I went through with you, and being able to buy now and understanding the advantages of buying right now, with saving $32,000 just off the top. That doesn't even include, I didn't even add in there appreciation. And that's a really big thing that I feel like is that, because imagine this. Okay, just listen to this one quick thing. You bought a house at 450. In a year from now, it's worth 475. Not only did you save the $32,000 out of your pocket that you didn't have to put down, but you also gained another $25,000 in equity. You technically are $23,000 in equity. You technically made out almost 60K, $60,000, because you chose to take advantage of this market right now and have your home appreciate when everyone's in high demand, and save money by using the seller credits to buy down your interest rate and pay your closing costs so you don't have to pay that money out of pocket. Because when you go to buy in the future, you're going to have to pay all that money out of pocket. You're going to have to spend all the money on the closing costs. You're not going to have seller credits, and you're going to have to pay more for your house. Not a win-win in that situation. How can you change that? By being able to leverage this market right now and then being able to take advantage of the equity and appreciation rising and keeping that money in your bank or in your house, and then over a certain amount of time refinancing or doing a HELOC and investing into more real estate, which is what I do with my homeowners. It's a big deal to do that with my homeowners. All right, let's go to the next slide here. We're just about done here because I wanted to share with you some credit tips that I have real fast, being able to share with you what to do if you need help with your credit. Like, hey, I want to buy a house. How do I improve my credit? This is how you're going to go ahead and do that. These are my secrets that I've helped a lot of people increase their credit scores. And I'm talking big time. I'm not saying like a little bit, I'm saying a lot of bits. And I'm saying like 80, 100 points. They were in the 400s, 500s, got them into the 600s, 700s. So credit increase options. You want to have at least 3 trade lines, and they need to be active trade lines, not old trade lines, not collection trade lines. They need to be active trade lines. So that way you can be able, they need to be showing on time payments, no lates. This is in the perfect world, right? Wish we all lived in the perfect world, but this is what that looks like. Next thing is you're going to want to have, if you have any student loans, you want them on a low monthly payment, even if it's $10, $20 a month, $50 a month. But I've had clients that have 200,000 in student loan debt, and the banks count 1% to a 0.5% of that as debt. So if you have $200,000 in student loan debt, they're counting $2,000 a month, like a car payment on your debts. And so I'll create another video on like what debt to income ratios are, how to lower your debt to income ratios. But really, right now, these are things that you can do to create that. Don't pay your medical debt. Medical debt, lenders don't look at medical debt unless the medical debt is constantly hitting your credit report to lower your credit score. You technically do not have to pay off your medical debt to get approved for a mortgage. Next thing is old charge-offs can help your score. So one of my clients recently had a charge-off that was on his, meaning it was 8+ years old. But on his credit, when he had this charge-off, he had 71 on-time payments before it went into a charge-off. 71 on-time payments. That's over 6+ years of on-time payments. So when I did his credit evaluation, I was able to find out that if he paid off this charge off, his credit score gained 80 points. Why? Because instead of the credit bureaus reporting that debt as a charge off as unpaid, it automatically froze that from being able to leverage that credit to be able to increase his score. So it froze it. It was like a frozen item on his credit, just dormant on there. But as soon as it went from charge off to paid, he got access to all of the positive credit for those 6 years of 71 on time payments. His score jumped, immediately got pre-qualified to purchase a house. So it's really knowing, and mind you, he had about 8 different charge-offs, but we were able to find out which one. When I do my credit analysis, I have a credit program that's only for loan officers. It's not what you see on Credit Karma. It's not what you see on Experian. It's not what Lexington Law, any of these credit companies that are saying, hey, delete all your credit. If he would have deleted this off, he would never have got approved for a house. So if he would have reported this as a deletion, he would never have got approved. That's why it's not in your best interest to delete old debt. Don't delete old debt. Please do not delete. Connect with me first before you even think of deleting old debt, because if he would have deleted 6+ years of on-time payments, he would have had, when are you going to gain back those 6 years? He would have had to rent for another 6 years to even come back to where he was at. So we paid that off, and now he's pre-qualified to purchase a home. Don't pay your collections. Don't pay unless you connect with me and we go through exactly what your collections are. Collections, let's just say you have $1,000 collection, they count it as a 1%, it's $100. So they're not using that debt to necessarily decline you. You're not going to get declined from buying a house. You're not going to be told no. They're just going to leverage those collections as a debt payment. And in some cases with your income, that debt payment doesn't make a big deal. So why spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 paying off old collections when in reality, You just need to be able to see what they're going to calculate as a debt payment and then be able to move forward to see if you still pre-qualify. Now, if you have a low credit score and paying off those collections increases your credit score, then that's a positive thing. In most cases, there's only one or two ways for those old collections to increase your credit score, and that's based on the history of on time payments for those. And my credit algorithm, my credit program is what helps with that. So I would not like just guess. I do not guess. I have sat there and plugged in, hey, if you pay this, you pay this, and it pops up zero change. Well, what if they pay this and what if they pay this? Zero change. What if they do this? Oh, 30 points, 60 points, 80 points. So I have to rely on the program because it knows the algorithm of on time payments. It knows the algorithm of your credit history. It knows the algorithm of everything that's way underneath me just taking a guess, or you just taking a guess, or in worst case scenario, wasting your money, paying off debt that doesn't need to be paid off. Like I've had these clients where they just pay old collections. In reality, they didn't even need to pay them off. They just needed to get a new trade line. And as soon as they got a new trade line, their credit score went up because they just needed a revolving new trade line to increase their credit scores. So that's what we're looking at here. I don't want you to get stuck in the credit increase options. I want you to get free by connecting with me and my team to understand, to truly get you to where you need to be in knowing what options are best for you. And everybody is different. There's not one box fits all. So deleting your credit is not an option, and paying off your collections is not an option. And don't pay off your medical debt, and get your student loans into a payment plan, not deferment, into a payment plan. And I go into all of that with all of my clients. Next one, okay, going here, let's see here, is these are some of the people I've helped here in 1 month go from a 557 to a 624, 561 to a 638. This is what my credit program does. And we look at your Experian, we look at your TransUnion, and we look at your Equifax. So that is the biggest thing there, is being able to see that you want to go into all of these, your Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, all of these different credit bureaus, because each one offers different things. Like this client, they have an Experian at 551, 557. We need to get to a 624 1 month time. This one, 561, 638 immediate. This can be done right away. And it tells me even what's the likelihood of that happening. So this one is going to take more time. They had a lot of debt that they needed to pay off, 511 to 594. It's going to take 10 months to pay this off. So what does that mean? That means this is why I say connect with me. It could take 10 months. For this client, they had no score on their TransUnion. They added a new trade line. In 1 year, it was going to be 629. So this is where we want to be able to leverage knowledge, not guessing. And this is what my programs do. This is what I do to all my clients and help my clients with. Down payment assistance programs for forgivable, non-forgivable. This is a really big one because there's two different types of down payment assistance programs. There's down payment assistance programs that will give you the money for free and not ask a cent back the day you move in or within 3 years of owning the house. So let's just say, like that scenario I gave you, they give you the $15,000 to buy your house. How they do that is that they do charge an origination fee. They do charge a program fee. Usually it's 2 points of the loan. So if a house is $450,000, they're charging $8,000. 99% of the time, I've been having sellers cover the $8,000. And in some cases, there's programs where they don't charge anything, and you're just paying your original closing costs. So each program offers different incentives. Non-forgivable means that they actually put a second lien on the house. This means that you pay you have the house and the $450,000 house, and then you have a $15,000 second loan that you're paying on the house within 10 years. Usually it's about $200 or $300 a month payment, but you're paying it back. So you're getting a second loan for your down payment assistance. It's basically down payment assistance saying, hey, we're going to give you a loan for your down payment. We're not going to give it to you free. We're going to give it to you at a loan, and you got to pay it off in 10 years for a couple $100 a month. those particular programs have actually worked really well because somebody's giving you $15,000 for free. That's like really good that you're getting all this money, not for free, but you're getting all that money upfront without you having to save for all that money. Sometimes for some people, it could take them up to 2 or 3 years to save $15,000. I mean, even at $300 a month saving in a year, that's only 3,600. So if you need to save 15,000, that could take you up to 5 years of renting versus using the program now and getting that money and getting access to that 15,000 now and paying a couple $100 a month and paying it off in 10 years. Totally worth it. That's non-forgivable. That's a loan. Forgivable means it's there right away. They're going to give it to you, but they're going to charge you a little bit extra, sometimes on the mortgage, sometimes on your payment. Usually those ones are a little bit higher costs, and some seasons they're not. It's really based on the market. So you want to be able to see what your payment's going to be on a forgivable and a non-forgivable options. And I give those to all my clients depending on things. Let's see this last slide here. We're almost done here. Rent to own options, pros and cons. I did a rent to own. Rent to own back in the day was really a really good option. Rent to own has changed a lot from now and then. I would really read the fine print. I work with a lot of rent to own companies. Actually, my brokerage is a rent to own company. And depending on what your buyback, meaning if you buy a house at 400,000, the rent-to-own company is going to sell it back to you at 440. They're always got to make some money. Nothing's ever free. Always read the fine print. Well, if the area is depreciating and it doesn't appraise for the 440,000, do you get any of your lease option money back, your rent-to-own money back, any of your deposits back? 99% of the companies keep 80 to 90% of it. So to me, is rent to own a good option? It just depends on the terms. Really read the fine print on that. I've bought one of my houses where a rent to own, but at that time I was in an appreciating market, meaning that what I bought it for was less than what it appraised for. So it appraised for close to 400,000 and I bought it for 360. So I made 40,000 in that process. But if they were selling it to me for 360 and it only praised for 320, I didn't have the $40,000 to come out of my pocket for that. So my down payment, my rent savings, all of my lease option, I would have lost all of that or only got a small part back. So the rent to own options is really understanding what the terms are and understanding if you're in appreciating or depreciating market when you look at the houses that you're interested in buying. And my team can help you with that. So you go, hey, Renessa, what's this address? Is this a good address for me to do rent to own? I have no problem with going through that with you. What's next? You connect with me and my team and get your free soft credit check home buying plan. You can call, text, email, or you can schedule a one-on-one with my team and I. That's our Calendly link. And I'll also include this to you in the email once you get this. Thank you so much for investing into you and your future. We hope to take a picture with you and your successes in the near future. And let me just make this a little bit bigger because I love do this together. You're not alone. There's a lot of questions out there. I went through a lot of information in the last 50 minutes, but this is just to give you some insight that whatever you are thinking, whatever you are wanting to create when it comes to buying real estate, connect with a team behind you. My fees and what I charge, I mostly am able to work them out through my seller credits. I'm also able to work them out through my lender credits where the loan company pays me to do your loan, not you paying me to do your loan. So it's understanding the market, but most of all, making sure you have somebody inside of your team that is it's going to be in your best interest. And so I will end with that. I'm thankful, so thankful for you to be a part of this journey with me. And again, my team is here for you. Any questions that you have, they are not dumb. They are not anything. Hey, Renessa, is this weird? I'm asking this, I'm asking that. Ask me anything. I'm here for you. I want to see you be successful by owning real estate and leveraging it to go after your dreams and do something special in this world, because we are all here for something great. And I believe we just can use real estate as a tool to create income, cash flow, to be able to live a better life, like many, many wealthy people have done in the past. It's our turn now. All right. Big hugs and love to you. Take care. And reach out to me if you have any questions on my website or book a time to connect with me and my team. Bye.